Hey parents, Dr. Rachel here. There is a big change that happens from pre-K and kindergarten to first, second, and third grade. Elementary school is so different. There's a lot more sitting at desks, a lot less movement breaks, and a lot more focus, attention, and learning that comes into play for kids. And that can make it a rough transition from that early childhood to an environment that involves less movement. Now, commonly what happens around that time for kids is that it's harder to sit still. It's harder to stay focused. It's harder to pay attention. And oftentimes it's easier to stare out the window and be thinking about something else. And if you ask most kids what their favorite subject in school is, most of them will probably say recess or gym. So it's very common to see those focus and attention struggles during that transition period. Now, a lot of times when kiddos are struggling a little bit more with this, teachers may be talking to parents in an IEP meeting or a parent-teacher conference, or maybe just through a phone call. And as a parent, you may be thinking, oh man, is this something like ADHD? Is this too much hyperactivity? And it can be really stressful. And a lot of times parents don't know where to turn when this is thrown out. What I do know is that most of the parents I talk to don't want to go the medication route. And so in this video, I'm going to be talking about ADHD from 3 perspectives that go the opposite direction of medication so that you can get a better understanding of it and find some natural solutions for it and really find the root cause and address it so that you don't have to go down the rabbit hole of just trying to mute this. So the first thing with ADHD and hyperactivity is knowing that it doesn't just come from the brain. A lot of times in the medical world, we're thinking, okay, let's just calm the synapses. But it doesn't just come from the brain, it comes from the body too. And that's why kiddos are calm when they run, play outside, ride their bike, because it's calming their body, which is helping calm their brain. So don't just think of it as it's coming from up here and we need to calm the receptors with medication. There are other ways, like getting them moving, getting them in sports, and really helping their body feel comfortable in space, because that's going to help calm the brain, because so much of the energy coming from the body is going into the brain. And that's why we talk about it so much as pediatric chiropractors, because if we can calm the nervous system down on the body side, that's going to calm the brain down too. Secondly, ADHD isn't just hyperactivity. A lot of the times we like to differentiate between ADD and ADHD, but really they're the same in that they cause a busy brain. And a busy brain doesn't mean we just want to move around a lot. It can mean I can't focus. It can mean there's some brain fog. This isn't just a high energy thing. Again, it's information coming from the nervous system that causes the brain to say, hey, I got a lot of stuff going on, and the processing of all of that is going to be a little more difficult and it's going to be a little slower. It's like when we have tons of programs running on our computer or a ton of apps running on our phone. It's going to drain the battery, things are going to go slower, kids aren't going to be able to refuel as easily, and it's going to cause it to be harder to sit still in one place and focus for long periods of time. This is why a lot of the times kiddos have trouble focusing in class, but if you put an iPad in front of them, they focus great. And that's because the stuff coming from the iPad is operating at the same speed as their brain. But when you try to teach them the slow things, the methodical things, that's when they start to have some focus issues, because it's not just hyperactivity of the body, it's also hyperactivity of the brain. Thirdly, there are natural solutions for hyperactivity, ADHD, focus, and all of those sorts of things. And pediatric chiropractic is huge for this. What it's going to do is help calm the body, which is then going to help calm the brain, because it won't be sending so many overwhelming signals to the brain that it then needs to process. And that's why this is oftentimes the missing link, whether you've tried medication or not, because if the body is not calm, the brain can only be calm so much because the body is telling it to keep moving. Another thing is, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, but food and nutrition. We've all seen it, right? When you're on vacation and kids are getting a little bit more processed foods or a little bit more sugar, it really revs their bodies up. And that revs up behavior. So looking at taking some of those processed carbs and sugars out is really going to help that energy be a lot more stable and not have them have these high bursts and then crashes. And then thirdly, talk therapy and support in schools. So talking to teachers and saying, hey, this isn't really the route we want to go. What support can we get in other ways? Things like a wobble chair for kids or playing with fidgets really can make a big difference and make that 10 to 20% change that can help kids conquer their ADHD without medication. So dig into the natural solutions, and if you have any questions, please send us a message or leave us a comment below. We'd love to help with this. We love to help kiddos thrive regardless of what season they're in, whether they're very high energy or they can't quite focus and they just like staring out the window. So these might be the 3 things that your doctor didn't tell you about ADHD. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.